In this video, we'll have a look at the sample of Chapter 10 Spark composition from the book The Art of Micro Frontends. Like in the sample of Chapter 9, the client-side composition, the Spark composition uses front-end elements that are evaluated in the browser. The sample places 3 frontends in one app shell. The app shell is given in the app shell directory. Note that all these directories represent independent repositories. You could of course also put them together in a monorepo or compose them as you want to. Now for the sample, the app shell is just a simple HTML file that also has of course some JavaScript to orchestrate the micro frontends. And everything is built using the parcel bundler. In practice, you can use any kind of bundler. The nice thing about parcel is that it also allows using an HTML file as entry point. So that way, this thing will actually be used as an entry module, and files like style CSS or app.js will then be resolved by the bundler and actually be transpiled and spit out as their own assets. So very neat. Otherwise, the HTML file is a new kind of sample. So it's not the tractor store anymore, but in this case, a real single page application, which means it also comes with routing. And that can be seen in the app.js, in the orchestration layer, which deals with event listeners such as pop state or has changed. Now to simplify routing and to introduce something like a universal router for single page applications, the links on anchor elements are auto-registered, and you can see that on the follow link here. So specifically for HTML anchor elements, the path is evaluated, and if it's an app internal path, it will just do a navigation and not execute the default action, which is to just reload the page at the link. Otherwise, the app shell already contains everything, and the API sits here on the window object and has elements like mount component, destroy component, register component, and so on. All the different micro frontends are already loaded from a script JSON, which then should just go into the different micro frontends. Now for simplicity here, these are assumed to be at some path MFEs and then in their respective subfolders. If you want to run it, it's just starting the development server. But there's also, again, the convenience way of using the run sh command to run everything. Let's just do that. So what it will do is it will actually go over all the 3 micro frontends, install the dependencies, run build in them, and yeah, in the end also do the same for the app shell, but here start is also run. And the interesting thing is that the MFEs are also coming into this tier. All right, so let's have a look at one of the micro frontends. Again, we create this directory already. This is nothing you would do in production, of course. The way would be to distribute the micro frontend rather via, for instance, the npm registry, or to place it on some central server, and then to have the micro frontends maybe aligned in kind of an central document, for instance, an import map if you're using single spar. Right, and for the micro frontends we usually use Webpack here, just to see that also the choice of bundler is pretty much free. If you look at the Webpack config, it's fairly straightforward. one entry point, defining the output standard resolve. That's only needed now if we also have JSX in here, otherwise we don't need it. Source maps, and then some rules to properly include assets, style sheets, and so on. Right, and that's about it. So the index.js then looks like this. We register a component, which is our balance sheet, and yeah, we just define the life cycle of that with the bootstrap mount, unmount. And surely, if we have a full page, like in the balance sheet example, we also need to have window activate on URL change. Otherwise, if we just have, for instance, a kind of a loose component, we don't need that. No, you see that here, for instance, for the text, which uses Svelte under the hood. Right, so that being said, let's have a look. And everything seems to have built successfully, all good. And then we can, of course, look at the micro frontend. And as you can see, here's the balance one, it's all there, and the text information from the text micro frontend is also given. Settings comes from a completely different micro frontend, but same story here, it's all there, all given. Finally, note that even though all three micro frontends use different frontend technologies like Svelte, Vue or React, this is like an example case only. In practice, you should not have a mix. You should always try to keep it as homogeneous as possible, even though one of the nice side effects is that you can mix technologies if you really need to.